Hey, everybody. Is everyone seeing us? Let's all wave to everyone all over the world watching on N7 Day.
Hello,
N7. This is an insane accomplishment of technology because all of us here that you're watching are literally all over the place right now. It's crazy times, but we have gathered our forces together for one very special N7 Day 2020. How things are going to work today. I've been gathering questions from all over the place for days and days and days. I think we got over 1,000 questions, comments, and shout outs from all over the world, really. And so we're going to be going through those. We're going to be taking as many of those as we can, hanging out, telling stories. And at the very end, we're going to do some line readings and just have the best time that we can. I think we're here for nearly 2 hours, I think. So we're gonna have a long time. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. It's a crazy day, but it's a happy day. And I think all of us are jazzed up. Some of us are inebriated. So it's time to rock and roll and have a good time.
The day to wake up and start drinking. Yes.
I know, right? So I'm going to quickly go through the roll call of who is here. And then we'll get started, okay? And first we have lead editor Karin Weeks, who is in my window down there at the bottom. Hi, Karin. So good to see you. We have lead writer, Mr. Patrick Weeks, the killer of men and beasts.
Happy to be here.
Wow.
The breaker of hearts. We have the VO director, casting director, Caroline Livingstone. Hello, Caroline. I didn't know you were coming until like yesterday, and I'm so stoked to have you here because it makes my job at the end so much easier, and I won't have imposter syndrome. We have the voice of Commander Shephard, Jennifer Hale.
Oh. Happy to be here.
And we have the other voice of Commander Shephard, Mr. Mark Meer.
Yes. Hello. Happy N7 Day.
There we go. We have the voice of Liara T'Soni, Hillis. Hi, Ali.
Hello.
I don't see, is Kimberly here yet? Do we have Kimberly?
She'll be joining us in progress.
Okay, so we don't have Kimberly yet. I think my windows are maxed out. I've never moderated this many windows, so we'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. We have the voice of Kaidan, Alenko, Raphael, Sbarge. Hello. We have the voice of Jack, Courtenay Taylor.
Ew.
Is Courtenay frozen or just very stoic right now? She might be very. We'll see.
It's never been that.
Has to run a little on the cool side. So
yes, we have the voice of Legion, Mr. DC Douglas.
Confirmed.
All right. The voice of Sam Traynor, Alix, Wilton, Regan. All right. The voice of Grunt, Mr. Steve Blum. All right. The voice of Mordin, William Salyers.
Present and accounted for.
Oh, so exciting. The voice of Thane, Keythe Farley.
I am alive.
All right, and my name is Ash. I'm a video game CM. I've been doing a podcast for about 10 years. I've had the pleasure of having a lot of these folks on over the course of my 10-year podcasting journey. And this is an absolute treat for me and an absolute pleasure to hang out with all you guys for such a long time. Like most of you watching now, Mass Effect is for me a very special game. It's regarded as my very favorite gaming franchise in all the land. I love it so much, and I am so incredibly excited to hang out with you guys on N7 Day. How's everybody doing? It's hard to ask so many people, but is everyone feeling pretty good?
Oh my God. There's I need to say,
It's a little weird.
That this happened because it was just N7 Day, and why don't we all get together and it would be really fun. Kimberly, welcome.
Yes. There you go.
There she is.
And it happened because of that. I had no idea about the remaster, had no idea. And it is just the happiest coincidences, along with, one or two other things in the news,
Yeah.
I've been offline. What's going on? Anything interesting happen?
Yeah, no, there's
just
woman
a normal
something.
day.
And I don't know. Yeah. Someone's playing, I don't know, golf forever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So for those watching all over the world, Jen Hale threw this all together, and this is all her baby. So if you're at home watching,
you and Ryan Green and Ali was helping, and
yes, well, we're all one big happy family. But you're the one who pulled us all together. So give Jen a round of applause at home. Is this the biggest Mass Effect cast reunion that's happened thus far? To my knowledge, it might be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
it's
so.
Caroline's not
I've
a
been
yes,
in.
so I would say so. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Have any of you guys not met each other before?
Yeah.
I've only met.
I think
We met at Dragon Con, but yeah, I think it's like a 60-40 kind of split thing.
That's so exciting.
Hmm.
So this is like the first time some of you guys have ever done
Yeah.
a panel and stuff together.
DC
Well,
and I are
welcome.
divorced, but we're getting back together. So.
Nice.
I'm glad it's working out. There's a lot of happiness today. There's a lot of joy. It's a very joyful day. So your reunion is one of the things that we're also happy about. So like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to blaze through a number of community questions that we got from all over the place. And we have some amazing shout outs too from people that have been touched by the Mass Effect franchise. So we have all sorts of stuff to go through. And at the end, what we're going to do is read a bunch of lines. And Caroline's here and she's a professional. So she's going to do that part, which is great. So let's go ahead and jump into some questions. And we're going to keep things nice and loose. So a lot of these questions are for everyone. Some are specifically directed to cast members and crew members. So we'll see how things go. The first one is from Great Siamon. And the question is, why do you believe the Mass Effect series is beloved by so many, even so long after its release? So
I'm
anyone
curious
can jump.
about what the creators of this think. I know my opinion.
great.
I've heard my opinion
Yeah.
so many times. I'm curious what you guys think.
So Patrick, perhaps?
Yeah.
Sure. I can take the initial run and then let other people have time to think of smart answers. It's never stopped me before. I think it's the characters. I think we wanted to tell a simple story. Good versus evil. What makes humanity great? What makes people great? And the answer, the answer comes down to friendship and found family and people coming together to triumph over adversity. And, it could have been just another kill everything game, but it's a game where you're getting to know people, you're getting to care about the inner lives of the people you're working with until at the end you feel like this is really somebody who you'd be willing to lay down your life for. And, I think that's really powerful.
that was a good
Well
answer.
said.
Jeez.
What? You should be a writer.
Bravo,
That's right. You should write some of that stuff down. That's really good. Just building on that, I would agree. And I think for us as creators, we work where we do because we really enjoy doing that. And for me, it's magical to see the process from it being ideas in everyone's heads to then our amazing artists start putting features together, and then you all start adding the voices. And when we hear the voices being played back, when you first start recording lines, that's when it's real. And it's just amazing. And all of that positive energy that everyone puts into it, I don't know, I'm feeling very positive energy and woo-woo today, but that means something, and you put it into it and players play it, and that's something real. And it's something that really appeals to people, just that genuineness and the love that you put into it. I think it spreads, man. So
It does.
it's cool.
It does.
I'll
Yeah,
say
there's
that this
something-
was one of the first time I ever saw branching dialogue. When they gave me the demo of the game the first day that I went in to record, I thought, oh, wow, this is a whole new level of gaming that allows the player not just to be, and we've seen this grow in the last 10 years, of course, to see that the player has real choices and real impacts for the choices that they make. And that's part of what you were saying, Patrick and Karin, about the way it impacts you. You feel like it's a lived experience as opposed to just jumping on a track and running through a thrill ride. And there's nothing against that at all. But Mass Effect goes a lot deeper than that. And I sense that in my relationships with fans and with all the community that's built around this game just from the actors.
Yeah, I mean, I as a player and as a huge fan, I agree 100%. There was something very magical about the scope of the narrative and the characters you met along the way and the relationships you formed. And I feel like everyone that's watching in the audience right now feels the exact same way. There was there was a magic that happened between the written word and the way the performances were captured that really made for a unique experience that was unlike anything I as a player had ever played before. So it captured lightning in a bottle, which is why I think, we're still celebrating in 7 days so many years later, and everyone still loves you guys and we want more. So I think, you guys hit the nail on the head just from the outsider's perspective. It is, something really special and magical. I do have a comment here. This is a shout out from Ghost Rider 21601. And this is for Jennifer and Mark. He says, I'm from the UK and had a really tough time. And I had to look after my dad from an early age. And the Shepherds taught me so much how to be strong and how to keep going and not let anything take my will to fight. They literally saved my life, and I can't thank them enough.
Oh.
And we got
too early to cry.
I know, right? We got so many of these.
Thank
so I wanted to say really quickly that I said we got over 1,000 of these in, and I'm going to put them all in a PDF and send them out to you guys just if you want to ever look through them. So even if you're watching and your question doesn't get read, they're still going to have an opportunity to look at all these kind words that you guys said. And there's a lot of them because, like I said, with a story that means so much to so many people, a lot of people are touched very personally by the narrative and by your performances. So it's cool to see, you guys are celebrated on, today too. So that's really cool.
I mean, it's really amazing the amount of people that I have had come up to, and I'm sure Jennifer has the same experience, that have had a really hard time, have been going through a really rough patch, and the game helped them through, whether it was a family matter, whether it was medical problems, things like that. People identified so closely with Shephard and the crew and with the characters, and it let them get through actual problems in their lives. And it's really an honor to have been part of something like that. And it was such a collaborative thing. It was the writers, it was the cast, and ultimately the player as well, because Mass Effect was a game that gave the player agency. It was one of the first games where you had a voiced protagonist, and that let you immerse yourself in Shephard so completely.
So beautifully said. I think one of my favorite moments, I believe, I texted this to Carolyn and asked her to share it with the team. I was somewhere, maybe Chicago or somewhere at a convention when we did that live, and a woman came up to me. She was in her early 30s, I think, and she had had a stroke. And the way her physiotherapist suggested that she get back her fine motor movements was to learn to game, to get a controller and start learning to work that. And the game she chose to dive in with was Mass Effect. So she's like, I waited in line to tell you that you guys gave me my ability to move back my body. You healed me. And I was like, oh my God. And the piece that stands out for me, Mark, you said it so beautifully. I'm always reminded when people tell us these stories, like, it's so incredible. First, thank you, because wow, and it is such an honor. And also, you did the work. You did the healing. We gave you a vehicle, but you picked it up and drove it. Like, it's your achievement, and good on you.
Yeah, that's wonderful stuff. We had another question from David Cameron, and this is for everyone. He asks, has your participation in Mass Effect changed how you reflect on the things in your own personal life? So were you at all impacted by the arc of your character's narrative or the work that you did on the series? How did Mass Effect impact you as a human and as an actor or as a writer?
I'll tell you what's interesting for me is just more specifically as an actor, because Mass Effect would have been my second big game that I ever did. And prior to that, the games that I did do were usually like Japanese RPGs or whatever, where you get basically an Excel file of just your lines. And even the director is like, yes, we think he's angry. We think he might be bored, or he may be going to bed. We're not sure. And so the first time they'd give you I knew what the scene was. And the fact that it was the emphasis on cinematic acting was so new to me. And I'm like, really? I get to actually go back to what I trained for? And so I would say the biggest impact on me was after having the treat of doing that as an actor is everything that I went into afterwards. I'm like, can we maybe work in a little more cinematic acting? I try to be no matter how they try to push us over the top in these other things, I always try to keep it as grounded as possible and like kind of, appear to be maybe not great at taking direction in the booth, just so I know my performance will have a little more realness in it when it gets out to the final product.
So it spoiled you a bit.
Yes.
What were you?
Jack was really special to me because I just, I relate to her so much, and I had a really hard, I was a tough kid who had a lot of emotional problems, just was angry a lot and had feelings that were too big for me, and was just really angry. And I always sort of, as I got to be an adult, I was always like, oh God, I can't believe what a kind of bad kid I was and how much trouble I caused and everything. And it both from just a personal, emotional perspective, allowed me to look back on who I was and who I became, and actually forgive myself and actually celebrate that kid who kind of walked around with her fists up and her chin out, because she helped me become who I became, and she served a purpose. And I really loved that about Jack, that, her arc was that, she still retained those fiery things, but she became an adult and someone who was capable of loving and being loved. And I think that's so important for people who do have, trouble as kids or as teenagers, to give themselves both, agency in who they were, and to be able to look at those things that they learned that were important, and also to kind of thank that person that they maybe aren't anymore for helping them through. And as an actor, I realized that all of those things that I was part of as a kid gave me so much more emotional bandwidth as an actor, that the things that made me weird and angry and just punk rock are the things that I draw on all the time for acting now, all the things. So I tell people all the time, the things that make you weird or an outcast or strange, or people pick on you, or, the fact that you got your hair pulled because it was pink when you were in high school or whatever. I mean, that doesn't happen now anymore, but it did when I had pink hair, and are the things that are going to be your superpower, to hold them close to you because they will serve you, and I think that was a huge lesson for me, and for me as an actor, and also as a touchstone for me to talk to people who love this game, because that's what I hear all the time is, thank you for putting this woman out there. And I thank you guys so much for putting a woman who is not traditionally beautiful and doesn't have the traditionally Zaftig figure that, is supposed to be so desirable, and is a woman who is fully expressed and is capable of anger and all of these emotions that, so often we didn't actually get to bring to screens. So I could do my own 2 hours about this, but
bravo. I'm clapping, but not into the microphone. That was beautifully said. And really quickly, I don't want to cut anyone off, but as I got to know you over the years, 'cause I think I first interviewed you, Courtenay, 8 or 9 years ago or something ridiculous like that, I did realize very quickly how much you were like Jack, and I loved Jack and instantly just loved you, because your personalities were very much like in the best ways, not in the punch me in the face ways, but you're very much like Jack in a wonderful way. I see a so from Allie. Anybody else want to?
Can I build on something that Courtenay was just talking about?
Absolutely.
So just as Courtenay was talking about how she identifies with Jack, I don't know. I think maybe Ali knows this, maybe Courtenay, maybe Jen, maybe I'm not sure about Caroline and everyone else actually, but I have 2 mums and I don't have a dad. And so recording the lines between Sam Traynor, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. This is the sorry, this is election years, and it's but I don't think I've ever shared this publicly, and people often ask why are you such a big advocate of LGBTQIA plus rights? And I haven't kind of expressly shared, but being raised by two women in the 80s was pretty radical, as I'm sure you can imagine. And then to see that represented in a video game in the most like lovingly casual, normal way, like everyone does this, you know, it probably felt, it was this strange kind of like, it was so all-encompassingly loving and accepting and amazing. And I remember doing the white picket fence conversation between Sam, Traynor, and Jen. And I remember crying. And I remember Caroline being on the phone, and she was like, are those real tears? Are you really crying? I was like, fine, I just need a moment. And I think that BioWare really, you know, Mass Effect 3 was probably one of the like 4th biggest games I'd done at the time. And it was really trailblazing the way for inclusivity and diversity of races and sexualities and identities. And to put this storyline there between two women, but no offense, Mark, just between two women, it was really radical. And to me, I was kind of going home and I was saying to my mom, I was like, yeah, and like, she's gay and like, she wants to, you know, they want to live together and have a dog and, you know, a white picket fence and all the normal stuff that we had, you know. It's like, except we didn't have dogs. We obviously had cats because my mothers were lesbians and lesbians have So that felt like a huge moment for me personally, like representing my mom's journey in a way. Yeah.
So one thing, and I don't remember if Caroline or Karin remember this, but when I was working on the Traynor arc, one of the things I did was we had some LGBT folks in the office, and I showed it to one of our gay coworkers, Suzanne, and I said, what is not in here that you would like to be in here? What do you as a lesbian wish were part of this arc? And the white picket fences conversation was what she said she wanted. It wasn't in there in the first draft. And she said, you know, we get the hot girls kissing stuff all the time. We don't get, I would like to have a house. I would like to have a white picket fence and a dog and like the domestic stuff. And you know, so it was kind of a last minute thing, but because someone in the office said that's what we want to see, we threw that in, and I'm really glad that it meant something.
It's the implication of family, Patrick. I think that's what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about the implication of family and what that does for not just all the younger people out there playing as these characters and finding themselves and their sexuality in that, but also now, you know, like now my story's not even that interesting anymore. It's like the new normal. It's really depressing, quite frankly. Everyone's got two moms nowadays. You know?
That's ultimately what everybody wants, is just to be normal. And like, it doesn't have to be that your story is the same as everybody else, but that you can say like, that it's actually, this was such a huge thing to make things unremarkable, because that's what they should be. It doesn't matter who you love. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter, you know, all of these things are just, it's just options.
Yeah.
Luckily, Ashley, the space racist, learned that lesson. I was like,
hashtag space
racist?
Yes.
No,
those are great answers.
Authenticity, right? It goes back to the authenticity. And you guys kept that throughout all of the games. And when we go down to the core of what people really clung to with these games, I feel like everybody out there, all you guys, would raise your hand when we say, you know, everything about that game was authentic. Everything was justified. There's so many times in games especially, but, you know, all across, you know, the acting world, we actors deal with things that just don't seem justified. They don't seem tangible. They don't seem real. We kind of have to roll with it. And, you know, our directors help us through. But in this case and with these games, just everything was so authentic and so real, and we could tell that everybody behind the scenes was doing their homework and doing what they needed to do to create these relationships that had the texture and had the reality, and they were grounded. And I believe that's really what made the difference, you know, with you guys, and the writing incredible, and Caroline guiding us through. And when something seemed, we were questioning something or didn't understand why, it was so amazing that you guys were always on hand. Patrick, Karin, everybody was always on hand to ask a question, you know, and Caroline and I could say, you know, let's hold off a second and ask these guys and make sure. And I think that's what a lot of people who play the games over and over cling to, is that reality and the relationships and the excitement to play again with new characters. Although I'd appreciate it if you'd stick to blue babies.
Yeah. And that's one thing.
Interspecies snorkeling.
Right? That's one thing that I think that sticks out to me just listening to you guys and this whole experience. And I don't know what the word is, because there was more than humanity obviously involved, but there was so much honoring everyone's humanity or speciesality.
Yeah, there's definitely the whole mentality of we're all in this together, and if we don't figure it out, we're all kind of screwed. Which is you know, it's a sad message, but it's true, and it's kind of one that's unfortunately reflected in modern society these days. I love your answers, and I forgot I was moderating for a minute because I was just watching and just like joyously listening. But I did have a question from Tyler Boyce, which kind of it's directed toward Karin and Patrick. It says, what do you look for in writers or narrative designers when it comes to Mass Effect? How can you tell in someone's resume, portfolio, et cetera, that they have the right stuff? So what is it about writing a game as robust as this that is that you, not that you're looking to hire, but what is it that you guys look for in a teammate?
I would say it's a little hard to tell from a resume right off. I mean, technically, we are excited about people who are familiar, you know, play enough games, they're familiar with branching narrative, because that is the thing that makes writing for these kinds of games really different from any other kind of writing, is being able to construct the words and the stories in little branches and bubbles and just be able to technically keep up with that. A lot of our writers come from either playwriting or screenwriting backgrounds. So I think the ability to, as you all were saying, connect with the characters and figure out, it's when you're writing, you know, how to write a line that is conveying information that is absolutely contrived and written and sculpted in a very specific way, but makes it sound very natural. And that's where, you know, Caroline is a huge part of this process, because she will very politely and kindly say, you know, humans can't say this. People, these words don't work that way. And so she really helps us to, you know, to craft those lines and to, you know, make suggestions about how, you know, what we're trying to say, how the words can come out, and how you all can be given the best tools to express that. So I think people who really understand, who are really good at writing dialogue and using dialogue to convey not only plot points and go there and kill that person, but good, you know, emotional, how to make emotional connections between the feelings and the words that are coming out of all the mouths of the pixels.
Good answer.
I would agree with all of that. The other thing I would add is that our games are games about voices and characters, and a lot of what we look for in a writer is two things that on the surface are very different. We look for someone who can bring a unique voice, who can write with a unique style. Chris Latoile, the writer who did the original writing for both Thane and Legion, for example, like, you know, they have such unique voices, and DC and Keythe, you brought them to life in such a fantastic way. And then sort of the counterintuitive flip side of that is that also, because it's such a team process, because I was one of, between 5 and 10 writers on each Mass Effect game. And Karin was one of, I think, 3 editors, 4, so yeah. The ability to blend in with that voice, so that Shephard always sounds like Shephard and not Patrick's Shephard or Drew's Shephard or Chris's Shephard, because there are times when I have, I as Patrick would have to write a Thane line, and I have to be able to, I will never do it as well as the original writer, but I have to be able to mimic that voice so that the character sounds consistent. And, our ability to do that well enough that the voice actors, with Caroline's direction can bring that home and make it sound authentic. That's one of the important parts about making the game feel consistent.
I would say also a great thing about that is, the further we went and the more you all got used to your characters, the more you would call us on times when we screwed that up, and you'd say, I don't think she'd say it like that. I don't think, and you were absolutely right. And so that for me was really exciting. The more games we did, was just everybody understanding these characters so well that it was sort of like you could speak the language of your character, and even better than we did sometimes. So that was much appreciated.
So the short answer is get good, right? Just write a lot, and get very good at it.
Find your voice, right? Absolutely. Find your voice as a writer and be able to collaborate, right? That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
It's actually a good segue. We have a question from BioJim for DC. He says, how challenging was it to bring emotion to a character that was just discovering that he could experience emotion?
Oh, well, for an actor like me, it was very easy. No, I'll tell you, what was interesting about it was was getting the audition. I think the first time it was an audition that I knew that it was for that character, because they did it around earlier that it was disguised as something else that was very military. But the second time, they sent basically, what was it? It was a memorial speech or a requiem speech at someone's funeral. And so it was to have the emotion of somebody speaking at that, but also that you're also a robot. So they wanted something in between Hal and this other thing. I can't even remember the breakdown of the character. But once you kind of like find that middle line, it's actually sorry, I've had coffee and no food, so
it's all good. I'm there with you.
Essentially, it's that when you're a young actor and you first go, for me, what I noticed with the people that I studied with back in the 80s, and we started in these lower classes, trying, really just emoting as much as we could with these characters. And then at one point along the process, the learning process, a click happens, and all of a sudden you stop working. You stop working at it, and it's just all of a sudden everything becomes easy. I mean, granted, there's always going to be emotional challenges, but there's the general idea of like when you switch over from trying to be an actor to being an actor, and now you still get all that other growth, but it's just a switch. And that's what kind of like doing Legion is that there's in that dialogue that in that middle row that you're supposed to go, it's just turn the switch off. It's an easy thing. And for me, basically, it was wake up, clear my throat, have some coffee, and then I went to work.
There you go. That's great.
And the direction, by the way. Well, obviously the writing, direction as well is really important in all of that.
Like this is that moment. Like, I mean, Caroline, like without voice directors, what we do is just not as good. It's just not as good. Like, we're skilled, but we're like, I've got 10 forks. Let me try to make something. They're like, no. Let me just give you a fork and a knife and go, oh, that's better. Like.
Yeah. It's funny. I've interviewed a lot of these guys over the past 10 years, and Caroline, they all talk about you like you're Gandalf the White coming over the hill, like in the middle of the interview. And then Caroline said this to me, and it all made sense. You're so modest. You're shaking your head. No.
Alex wanted to say something, but after you talk, Alex, I have a brief Caroline story.
No. Well, I was just going to say that the other thing about Caroline that's so brilliant is, I'm not allowed to swear, is you're very, very, very funny. And so you're in a session with you for like 4 hours, and in London booths ain't like LA booths, my loves, okay? London booths are like here, and you're like, Mike, fine. Yeah. Toothbrushes, what? And it's like, and you get hot and you're sweaty, and then I'm crying because of the lesbians, and it's like and Caroline's just going, she's like, you're doing great. Honestly, like, I don't think Patrick was feeling well when he wrote this scene. It's not you, it's him. It's time. It's like, you're so funny, and you're so emotionally tuned into us. and you just make the job a lot more joyous. So please accept this.
Yes.
Yeah,
you were like Caroline. I mean, Caroline was able to be with us in person for, many of the early pieces of Mass Effect. And then as you get going, especially as you get closer to deadline, she would need to be in Edmonton and would Skype in. But she was always like the steady voice of reason. She would always get it done. And there were two stories that stand out for me. One was the day, Caroline, I always asked what the count was. When I walk in, I'm like, what's the count? Because I needed to know how much time we had to chit chat, because I love everybody so much. I just want to visit, but I'm like, we get a high count. There's not a lot of chit chat and there's very short pee breaks. I just need to know how to frame my day and how to manage my energy.
Jen, for people who don't know what that means, the count, explain what the count is to the people who don't know what that means.
How many lines we have to get done that day.
Right.
Thank you, Bill. You're right.
In a certain amount of time.
In a certain amount of time. Yeah, we had 4 hours. And I have to pee at some point. I got to refill my water. I got to make tea. Okay. And I love these people. I want to know how they are, And so one day I walked in and I was like, what's the count? She goes, oh. And I said, well, what is it? And I'm a little competitive with myself. Now, I don't believe in competition among other people, but for myself, I'm like, okay, what is it? So she goes, well, it's high. And I said, what? And she says, well, Steve, she said I think it was like 563 or something like that. And I said, oh. And she goes, yeah, Steve doesn't think we can do it. And I was like, what? What? And I was like, let's go. I don't need to know how anybody is. Let's go.
And for people who aren't good at math, including me, that's you got to think about, that's in 4 hours, guys. So that's is it 2 lines a minute? Is not where you're like 2 lines a minute, whatever, but that's people listening back. That's you making adjustments and stuff like that.
ABC takes.
So she's a master. Well, they are masters.
Fortunately, it was short stuff. It was like DLC. It was Citadel. It wasn't as
still, even if it's like nice gun, if you're doing 600 lines, 4 hours, it's
nice gun.
That did happen though. I remember it being very clear, like hearing down the line, this edge from Jen, which was like, did someone say I can't do that? And then it was just like game on. There was just no stopping. I've never surpassed that line count. What a ridiculous. But she was hellbent. It was happening.
Don't tell me I can't, because then I have to, even if I don't want to.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. I love that so much. That actually segues pretty good into a question we had for Caroline. Let me find it. This is from Tom the Builder. He says, how does one even begin to tackle VO direction on a huge title like Mass Effect or Dragon Age? How do you keep consistency and tone when things are recorded out of order over such a long period of time?
That's a thick question. I mean, as far as consistency goes, that's all writing and editing. Like they know the voices, they know the story so completely. And honestly, it's just, for me, I just have to consume as much as I can. Like I try to let it rain on me. I watch as much as I can. I read as much as I can. But there are often times in the booth where I'm like, I don't know where this scene is being held. And sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to make something up on the spot here because I'm not 100% sure. And sometimes it's a shot in the dark. I mean, 40,000 lines of dialogue, it's a bit trippy. So I really do have to rely on the editors and the writers. They give situation synopsis at the top of the scene. And also, I'm not going to lie, sometimes the actors are like, oh, no. Like Mark was really good with that. No, Cab. This happened on Eden Prime. They're referring back to, and he would know like which plot it was referring back to. Oh, no, that was in Mass Effect 1. And I'm recording Mass Effect 3, and he remembered that. So it's such a collaboration. Like I rely heavily on so many people. And That's all I have to say.
No, it's a great answer.
Well, I'm shocked and scandalized to hear that because you were my rock. I was depending on you the entire time.
That's I have to say that about you, Mark. Like, we've had the good fortune to work together on a couple of things, and we did that lovely the thing. What's the name of the thing that's airing after this? I can't remember what it's called.
Omniblades in the Dark.
Omniblades in the Dark. Yes. I'm constantly so impressed by your brain and by your sheer intelligence and your mastery of detail and comedy and everything else. Like, it's just beautiful to watch. Anyway, I just had to shout that out.
Oh no, please go on, Jennifer. I think we have another hour or so.
Yeah.
I love
Let's
seeing
talk about Mark.
Shepherds talk to each other because they're near each other on my screen, and I'm like, oh look.
I know, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, this is so cool to watch.
That was the one thing in Mass Effect I wish we could have had more of was Mark and Jennifer talking to each other.
Well, I always thought that in the Citadel DLC, you could have. I think actually when I went,
we could have gender flipped the clone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
that would have been so good.
When I went into the booth to record with Caroline that day, I was just like, "Oh, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if like they switched the chromosomes on the clones? So like male Shepherd would fight a female Shepherd clone, and female Shepherd would fight a male Shepherd clone."
Would have been so good.
And Caroline was like, "That's a great idea. We need to record this because this."
Significant telomere shortening to X chromosomes. Problematic.
I would like to put out that challenge. I've done this at conventions before, and no one has taken me up on it yet. But some talented fan with access to the Citadel DLC and editing skills, could you please put that together as a YouTube video, please? I'm putting it out now on
Look at the chat to see who's going to do it.
Yeah, it'll be done by midnight. You know how the internet works these days. It's already in the works. It's good answers, guys. This question is for William. It's from someone named Martin. We're getting into the dark side of Mass Effect. Do you like the way Mordin's story ended?
Yeah, because it was wonderful to be able to play that. And that kind of loops back. I also have my Carolyn story about coming in. A lot of people don't know I didn't create the role of Mordin Solus, and I'm probably the luckiest person that's on the screen right now because I got to come in late to something that is amazing, and I was allowed to find Caroline let me find my way to where I needed to be emotionally to play that final scene, and it was one of the most moving things I've ever gotten to do personally for a piece of interactive art. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how it ended.
You know, that caused something to mind. If I could just share this for a second. You know, as actors, we go into our profession for a variety of reasons. But I think the Holy Grail is a space where we can fully stand in our humanity, calling on the absolute best of ourselves. Jesus. Calling on the absolute best of ourselves, whether it's the best villain or the best, traitor or the best hero or the best machine, and bring that forth. And this is one of those beautiful, gorgeous, shiny, metallic, kick-ass unicorns that lets us do that to the fullest. And I'm eternally grateful. Yeah.
I have goosebumps now. Like I'm sure a lot of people watching at home too. Sometimes, Jennifer, when I talk to you, the line, because I've played the game so many times like a maniac, the line between Shepherd and you blurs because you're also a very inspirational and you motivate people a lot and have a lot of very strong, powerful things to say. And I'm sure everyone at home appreciates that as well. So thanks.
The other thing, Bill, that you did so well, and which was I didn't realize how much I was asking for, and it was amazing how well you were able to run with it, is Mordin is a character where in one line, I'm asking you to do biological technobabble. You got to talk about telomeres and chromosome garbage DNA attachment and stuff, and you have to get through that line as and sound like you know what you're talking about when the person who wrote it doesn't know what they were talking about.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Patrick. Earlier, when everybody was talking about what their characters meant to them, I've always been a kind of a secret science nerd, and so that's one of the things where every once in a while I find myself thinking, well, if I hadn't become an actor, maybe.
Right? Yeah. If I had done slightly better in hum bio.
Yeah, exactly.
in that one course in university. But yeah, like expecting you to be able to deliver those lines and then just break our hearts in the next one, that going from techno to simplicity is, and you did it so gracefully. And
thank you.
I really appreciated that. There is something so incredibly liberating as a writer to just know that I can just throw something like that and know, oh no, he's got that. Yeah, he's gonna do this ridiculous line, and then he'll do another ridiculous line, and then the third line will break people's hearts. Go.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope I don't have to tell you. I think we did a panel together, you and Karin and I, a long time ago. And if I didn't say it then, I'll say it again. It was a real treat to say your words.
Am I out of line? I just looked at the chat, and there's this repeated request that keeps happening. Bill, I'm going to guess that you can maybe think what it is.
Oh yeah,
I know. I
got a lot of those.
The line or the song? Is it the line or the song?
It's either the line or the song, yeah.
Let's see. Well, fortunately, I thought it might come up. Are they asking for Scientist Salarian? Is that what it is, or?
I think either or is fine. Everyone will be elated with either.
All right. I haven't done this in a long time. Bear with me. And like DC, there's been a lot of coffee and not much food. Oh my gosh.
And the very model
of a scientist Salarian. I've studied species Turian, Asarian, Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subject of subset of biology because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist Salarian.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
Beautiful. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And actually, we laugh about that because before we moved up here to Canada, I did a lot of community theater, and I was in a group that did a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan. So I always claim credit for the Scientist Salarian song, even though I had actually nothing to do with it. I opened that door for Patrick. So
That
Time to pump.
The world thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we got that request, I would say almost more than any other.
1,000 times, probably.
Yeah,
Wow.
We got so many requests for that. And
It's a day of wish granting, isn't it?
It really is.
It's a
Thank you
good
for
day.
blessing us, Bill.
Oh,
for
gosh.
real.
Thank you guys. It's a treat to do it again after so long.
That's wonderful. We had a question from Karabast. This is for Steve. He says, Grunt has a childlike personality. Was that hard to portray while also portraying him as a powerful and confident soldier?
Oh, mute.
Uh-oh. Hello?
There you go.
I
Hello.
said, no, it wasn't a problem at all. I'm emotionally stunted. And tank bread. No, it was a great character to play. I've always been sort of the opposite of that, sort of mushy on the outside and a little more fighty on the inside. So it was kind of nice to reverse that out and try that on, see what it felt like. It was really fun and really sadly easy for me.
It's easy for you. Was it, so, I mean, you've been doing this stuff a long time, and I'm such a massive fan of your work over my lifetime. What was it when you read this part? Was there something that, were you gravitated toward the series itself, or did you enjoy the writing? What was it about taking this part that was special to you?
I enjoyed having a job. No, I didn't know what to expect in this. And
Jobs are good.
Yeah, jobs are good. Yeah. I'm not a gamer, and so I had no idea what I was getting into. And for me, it was just this massive pile of paper with 500 words to go through in one day. And then they showed me the image of Grunt, and the words were so good. And I just got lost in the story, and I just ran with it, not knowing anything, which is the way I've led most of my life. It was kind of, beautiful. It was Grunt was kind of a perfect character for me in that respect.
That's so much fun. Thank you. This next question is from Paul Gilham, is for Jennifer, Ali, Courtney, Kimberly, and Alix. It says, you all played incredibly strong female or monogendered characters in Ali's case. In the series, do you feel any sense of progress in how women are portrayed in video games from the scripts, and how much still needs to change?
Oh my God. I mean, I spent my whole life, I wouldn't say beating my head, because I took my steel-toed boot and kicked the glass ceiling over and over and over because I don't believe in it. It just is illogical to me. I used to say to my agents when I first started in LA and they would get commercial copy, I'd say, can I read the announcer? And they'd say they want a dude. And I'd say, can I read the announcer? And I'm like, you can just throw it away. You don't have to send it. Just let me audition. And eventually they did. And then eventually it got to the point where I did an enormous amount of commercials. And now, and that was part of that wave where women are now everywhere. And being a part of this game that has now created the expectation that there be a female player character, is one of the greatest things of my life. I feel like, oh, holy crap, that I got to be in that seat and do that. Casey Hudson, who is our glorious loving overlord, is not here right now, but he is, my experience of him is that he's a more reserved person who doesn't seek attention. And we were at GameStop at midnight on a Saturday at the release of Mass Effect 3. And I had heard, because of I'm looking in the camera, all you guys out there really pushed the honoring of FemShep as well as BroShep, male shep. And everybody at BioWare listened and put FemShep on the box. And when somebody dropped that, oh my goodness, when somebody dropped that first box in front of me, I was like this. And I stood up on the table, a la what's his name in that movie, and held it over my head. And I screamed at Casey Hudson over the crowd, Casey Hudson, thank you. And he was like, oh God, make her stop.
So good.
But it was a divine moment. And this game did that. This game finally was the moment when the boot crashed through the glass. And it's glorious. And it's not my boot. It's a boot happened to be on my foot, powered by millions of women, and decades or centuries of desire. And I'm insane. And men right beside them pushing for the same. And that's so that was my experience.
Great.
That's wow. Great. Well, I think that things have definitely changed for the better, for roles for women of color, brown and black women. So I'm excited about all of that, because I've noticed, especially since, I don't know, just this year, one good thing that's come out of 2020 is just this movement and this awareness of inclusion, and the lack of it. So I feel like the copy I've been getting sent for auditions has just been drastically changing. I'm seeing it change before my eyes. More and more roles for me, really. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really exciting. And I think Ashley was always such a strong character, and I felt very badass playing her, and I felt very lucky and privileged to get to voice that role, because I felt like this was something important happening at the time. So it's just, I don't know, it's exciting to be a part of it. And I missed the very beginning. There's going to be a remastered.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I just wanted, is that for the ones we did, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
sorry.
It's remastering the first 3 and then putting them out so that people owning consoles that were made in this century can play them.
Oh.
Say sarcastically. But yeah, so they're updated so that they're playable on modern consoles.
Okay, so that's really cool. So now that's what I just was, to get back to what we were saying, I just am excited that that's going to be a new way to see these characters that, that we've gotten to so lucky to voice. And And that was my 10 cents I had to chime in, because unfortunately I have to leave because I have another commitment.
Really, before you go, can I say one thing?
So
I didn't work on Mass Effect 1. I was working on Dragon Age Origins. And so I started seeing little bits, and you're the first female character that I saw when I was, in the studio.
Wow.
And I heard you talking, and I was just like, oh, she kicks ass. And it was so inspiring and so fabulous. And so I just wanted to thank you for that, because that for me, you hadn't been working at BioWare that long, and I heard your voice and I saw that character and I was like, oh, this is cool. And it really did kind of change everything. It was one of those changes everything moments. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And it's the same for me, right back at you. I mean, it just changed everything for me too. It's like my most beloved character, and I get so much love. And people are a little bit like, I played Kaidan, but in general, I'm just saying it's been a little life changing for me. So it's been a really incredible project to be a part of, and I hope that there's, a lot more in the future. But I'm so sorry to cut out. I have something at 12.
So glad you could be here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Yay.
Thank you all so much.
Bye, Kimberly.
All right, take care, everybody. Love you. Bye.
Just to touch on that too, I think that not only did this game change how women are seen, so many of us have benefited in the fact that a female player character is the norm now, that it's expected, and not only females now, but people who are LGBTQ player characters, that you can be whoever you are or whoever you are not. And I think that's so incredible, because I think this game changed that in across the board about empathy to people who are not like you, and the opportunity to play someone. Because I've talked to so many gamers who say, I'll always ask them, obviously, I was female player in Fallout, but I always ask because I'm like, well, who did you play? And I'm always so interested to hear in these big franchises that so many men ended up playing the female character. And I think that's so important, to bring everybody along together so that you can step into the shoes of someone you are not in every day. And that will change how you treat people.
Absolutely.
And, I joke about interspecies snorkeling, but, it's important. Representation is important. It's important for kids to see women who are not portrayed in the same way all the time, that we are not blow up dolls, that we are not porn stars, that we do not, not all snipers have huge boobs and bikini tops, things like that. To this game just set in motion so many things, both personally and universally, for how much money we make, the kinds of roles we get to play, how women are perceived on so many levels. And I think it was really the first game to do that. And it will be forever that. And also, I got to meet some of the most incredible women working on this game. I mean, these are my friends for life that I didn't know until I worked on this game. I remember meeting Hillis, and, the night of the Mass Effect 3 drop, and her being like, let me give you my number. Let's hang out. And I was just like, oh my God, this girl is nothing like me. But we became amazing friends. And Jennifer Hale, who was my, she's the shit. And this game brought me together with her. And Alix, I go to England, and I have this friend for life, and seeing all of you guys at conventions and people I knew beforehand, but now we have this bond. We're like a club.
Yeah. You are the crew.
We're family. We are we're a kind of family.
And that's very special, and it's something you don't see on a lot of projects, especially that have been around this long. People keeping in touch and having the amount of love that they have for one another. It's really special, and I think everyone watching at home is pretty aware of how rare and special it is. And it's really, really cool for people at home to be able to see the actors that portray the characters they love have this much genuine love and affection for one another, because a lot of times actors on projects don't even meet in games. It's just not really what happens most of the time. So it's a really cool, special thing. So
Well, and part of that is because of the success of the game, right? Because it just continues, and here it is now being reinvented once again. It's just sort of like coming for the next generation, and we've been able to travel the world and connect with one another, and just to piggyback on what you said, Courtney, which is what this is the writing, this is the BioWare team, but I was always amazed that this game had brought more women into gaming than any other game until it had arrived. Which always just moved the heck out of me, and obviously that's just grown and grown and grown. Was that the intent? I wonder. Or was that just sort of a something that kind of had was a byproduct of what you'd done? I wonder about that.
Well, one thing that it's funny. I would love to take credit for this, but I don't know how much any writer or any of the Mass Effect devs were really thinking about this. But one thing that has really struck me about all of the characters, but especially the female characters in Mass Effect, is they're allowed to be flawed in ways that female characters aren't always allowed to be flawed. They don't have acceptable girly flaws. Jack is angry, and Hale is racist against the Geth. She has problems, and Ash Williams is a military, is a career soldier who also has some issues because of her past, and those are things that in a lot of cases women don't always see that as something they're allowed to have as a character flaw. And getting to see Liara go through a dark patch in Mass Effect 2 and lose a lot of her softness and then kind of have to grow stronger through that. I'm not proud of it because it wasn't me. It was kind of everything and it just happened. But I really think that changed some things for the better and maybe helped open some doors that way.
Yeah, I can
I actually just ask? Can I be Ash and ask you a question just to follow up? Because I'm just so curious about this. It's just because I've heard, and perhaps you've heard this reference, but I'm just so curious from your point of view that Mass Effect is or was the Star Wars of video games, as it were. Like there's that whole period of time. And then there's Star Wars, and then there's everything else. That it was somehow a marker of how then everything changed after that. Have you heard that? What do you think about that? What's your? It's a big mantle to carry, obviously. But what do you? What's your sense of that?
I don't know. And like Patrick, I didn't come onto the franchise until it was already rolling. And in one sense, we're just, up here in the snow and the dark, typing away and doing our things and just trying to make as good a game as we can. Yet when you step back and you talk to people and you hear about it and you realize, oh yeah, this is kind of a thing and people like it. And one thing I'm grateful for is, Mark mentioned earlier that, it was one of the first games to have voiced protagonists. So that was a big deal and a big expensive deal for a lot of games. And, BioWare's protagonists had, traditionally up to that point been, you could choose male, female, and so that was an important cornerstone, but it was a big expensive commitment to make for the studio to decide, yes, we're going to record it and we are going to record it with the option of having male or female characters. And just that was the foundation that it was laid on. That was a big deal in the industry. And so you do have that sense that, oh, okay, this is something that the people I'm working with, that our leaders feel is important enough to invest in. And so I think that does give you a sense that oh God, I hope it works. Because at that time, it was a risk in the industry. Oh, women don't play games, women, and so it was a risk that the pretty much entirely male leadership of the studio at that point decided was important enough to do, and so that does set up an expectation that, okay, we need to make this good. However it does, we are committed to doing this diversity to making this diversity happen in a coherent way, hopefully, and in a way that means things to people. So I would say not necessarily at the time, but as it goes and we have the joy of interacting with fans and people who have played it, yeah, it's really humbling to be a part of something that means so much to so many people.
I also think it's, again, they bring, we have me and Caroline and Karin here, and it makes it seem like I'm the writer. I was one of so many, again, five to 10, and I was the junior baby writer on Mass Effect 1. I had just gotten to the studio, and Mac Walters fell down a flight of stairs and messed up his back, and they pulled me over from another project while Mac was healing.
Fell down, Patrick? Fell down?
I was somewhere else at the time. Yeah.
Very convenient.
Yeah. How they bring me over.
What did you put on that step? Right?
Nothing. It's fine. There's no evidence that the camera was rigged. And
I will say Mac was very understanding when Patrick fell down the ice and shattered shattered their shoulder during Mass Effect 2. Mac was very understanding.
Like, yeah, we've been there, buddy. But I came over and I was like, I have all these ideas. And, on Mass Effect 1, my job was giving people things to talk about in the elevators to cover the load, because it was the first time we were trying to get the seamless transitions. And so when people took the elevator from one part of the Citadel to another, there was this long load we hadn't known about. And they said, Patrick, just give the followers something to talk about with each other. And I was just throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick. I was making random guesses. And I think to an extent we all were. We were all these young people pushing on something heavy together, not knowing whether we were going to move it, not knowing whether we were going to get the rock up a hill. This just become a Sisyphean metaphor, and I don't really mean it as one. But I think it's not until you stop and then look away and go, oh my God, we moved that. Oh my God, we made that together. That's when you can really feel proud of it. But at the time we were a big team pulling together going, I don't know, is this working? I don't know. Let's find out.
You just described the whole journey of the story.
Right.
You were living the story in different context or content, but the context is the same.
Probably. What do you think, Caroline, if you don't mind me calling you out? I'm very interested in your perspective on this because you've been here since the beginning. And what do you think?
I am sitting here trying to wrap my head around it and what our jobs are in the entertainment industry. And it's not so much that we should be projecting what we see in society, but maybe what we want to see in society. And I think that is something, and like Patrick was saying, I don't think anyone thought about that. It was like, well, let's have a female protagonist. Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we do that? That makes sense. So yeah, I'm thinking a lot about that, and especially now during this time. But how do we want in the entertainment industry to support society to be better?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That was all over the place. But
no, that's a great answer.
You just reminded me of this. Oh, Alix, you go ahead, and then I'll
No. I wanted to add a little something about this, because I agree with what Jen's saying about representation of women, and I agree with what everyone said. But I also think what's really interesting, I'm just going to be a little bit controversial here, because that's what I do. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that. But what I've realized is it also comes down a hell of a lot of the time, and it's a little bit sad actually. It doesn't come down to the actors or the directors or the editors or the writers. It comes down to the marketing team. And a lot of stuff, I'm not going to name any names because it's all been over the press this year, about really big game companies who aren't pushing their female protagonist forward, and therefore she doesn't get equal publicity or equal airtime, even though she has the same journey as the male protagonist. Yeah. And that's just really sucky. Yeah. And like, I don't actually know the femme shep, male shep covers, but like the Inquisitor was completely you didn't know, androgynous, you didn't know if it was a man or a woman on the cover. And that was one of the reasons why it worked so well, you know, because it was the image like that. And I just think, like, I look at some of the marketing stuff sometimes, and I just think, I really do wonder whether the marketing team knows what it feels like to be the actress that has spent the same amount of time in the voice booth as the man, often trying to copy the man's time codes, if you have to deliver a line within a time code, possibly paid less than the man, but you're still like, I've done the job, I've done the story, it's gonna be something different, you know. And then you see the images, you see the press, you see it on TV, you see it on the side of buses, you see it on the posters in town, and there is just nothing about the female player character. And I can only speak as an actress here, but it is crushing. You know, I've been in that position. I've got other friends who've been in that position. We all know women who've been in that position. And like, marketing really needs to kind of step up now. You know?
Yeah, and that was the beautiful thing I think that BioWare did with this is they took it on. They listened, they took it, and they took the risk. And then that goes back to the point that what Caroline had said had reminded me of, which is people become who you speak to them as. When you speak to them like they're ready for this, when you speak to them like this is, when you speak to the world like this is what I want, this is who we are, then we become that. You know, we've seen both the downside and the upside of that. And that's the whole thing that's driving me right now, speaking of Twitter, which is that what you focus on grows. And focus means what you discuss, what you think about, what you look to, what you retweet, what you repost, like that's going to grow. So keep your hand, be mindful. You have power in these hands. Don't use it to strike things and amplify what you hate. Definitely call out what isn't working and then spend 4 times the energy on what you do want, because it is a property of physics and we all are powerful creators. Every one of us, every one of you people watching, every one of us people here, like it is a truth. And we see it in this game. We see what got created by the intention of a group of people and the wave that got started and the desire that it met and the need that it filled was beautiful. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. That's fantastic. We have so many more questions and I want to blow through a handful more before we do some line readings, which I'm incredibly excited about. But we got one that kind of ties into what we were just talking about from Alenko. This is for Karin, Patrick, and Raphael. He says that Kaidan is kind of known for his random comments in Mass Effect 1. Were those at all improvised or were they already written down? Because I need to thank whoever was responsible. Were those Patrick writing elevator moments? Is my question. So where did like a lot of Kaidan's quirks come from? Does anyone remember? Because he did say so many random things, especially.
They weren't improvised. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Not improvised.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously they, you know, kind of captured sort of this sense of kind of what, how would you describe it? I don't know, just sort of, I'm a rebel and I can say what I want to say, I guess, or, you know, and just kind of what's in my head, as it were, from that point of view. But I you know, what seems effortless and like it just happened naturally is, you know, a collaborative effort between Caroline and Patrick and everyone and Karin in terms of making it, you know, just flow and actually make it seem like it was just happened by accident.
Just you being a strange guy. When in fact it was strange guy writing. It was fantastic. I mean, that's, right. Well, that's the thing that's wonderful about this. Oh my gosh, sorry, my phone is typing things by itself. This is what's wonderful about the series is that the people that are playing the game can't tell because it all feels so natural, so beautifully written that it feels like actual conversations that these fictitious characters would have with one another in an elevator, and it just feels like a very real situation to be in. And that kind of harkens back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's just that it's so well written that is why we're all here today still talking about it so many years later. It's a very special thing.
I would say it's actually due to Caroline and all the other people on the screen because it's you all who made the words come to life.
I mean, we've all, I mean, you know, I look around and everyone who's on here has just such extraordinary careers, you know, in so many different places and other needless to say, other venues, other games, other things. And we all each of us come to each project with a desire to want to bring your A game. But because it's such a collaborative thing, and because obviously in this case, you never know. And this is, in a long career, you may have 3 or 4 of these, but this is a lightning in a bottle one, right? And this is because of everyone coming together. And not that any other thing that I've done is not as important or passionate to me when I'm doing it. But this one is really, it has sort of a mushroom cloud kind of quality, sort of almost a religious sort of experience to it. And as the tattoos that people will show you, or as kind of the tears in their eyes when they come up and or are talking to you or shaking, or when there's this sort of sense of like, here we are 10 freaking years later and we're still talking about it. We're meeting on 7 day, and clearly we're going to do this next year. And there's this, Jennifer started a tradition, but there's something that, we all get to kind of really gather together around this thing that I'm so grateful for, and so I have such regard for each of you and what you bring to this, and to be in your company is just, it's really something. It's really something.
Tag on to that, the one you've really, you're sweet, but also I wanted to tag on that you talk about in a career of lots of things that are good and mediocre or whatever, you get like those couple things that really stand out and last through your career. Having it be that and also be really good, that's really unusual. And so
yes.
that this is one of those things that's also really good, that's going to follow me through whatever remains of my career. So it's cool. Those are beautiful points. Just wanted to share that.
Other parts of your career too, and like I've gotten on camera auditions. I don't even really do on camera, and they're just like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Why are they looking at me like that?" I'm supposed to be a pregnant hillbilly girl, and they're like, "Yeah, but you're Jack," and I was like, "Am I not getting this part? I'm not getting this part. You just wanted to say hi, didn't you?"
I think
true. It's been an incredible catapult for showing other parts of your acting repertoire. I can only speak for myself, but I am 1000% sure that I've gotten jobs and gotten because people love it, and people from across all media love it. And I'm just going to say, there's that one TV show about the little girl who's bald, Stranger Things. It's affected other storylines, other mediums.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I started working in games. I was a teacher for a long time, and I left and started working in games about 5 or 6 years ago. And I think half of my first games job interview was talking about Mass Effect with the development team. And without a doubt, my love and passion for the game is what ended up helping me switch careers, because there's so many people in development in the game space that have such love for the Mass Effect franchise and see it as, the Citizen Kane of video games, or the Star Wars of video games, that I think you'd be hard pressed to go to any major development team that's around right now and ask them, hey, what are some of your favorite games? I think Mass Effect would be on, their top 5 or 10 list across the board, just because of exactly what it is. So I think if a lot of us, even like me way out in the periphery, have been highly impacted by the work that you guys have done. So
I think what you're touching on there, Ash, is a really brilliant concept. Way back in the beginning of my career, a dear friend of mine was studying theology, like at McGill or somewhere, and we were talking, and I was bemoaning the superficiality of my career choice versus his, because I wanted to have meaning and impact, etc. And he's like, just stop. And he told me about the concept of divine spark, which is that when you're in touch with the highest and best part of yourself, and then you go do something, it's like a little spark, and it alights upon what you do. And when it goes out into the world, it will strike others, and maybe like awaken a little, like Cindy Lou Who, and Horton Hears a Who, a little yap, to awaken them to some highest and best part of themselves, even if they're not paying attention to actually listening to what you recorded, whatever. Just the spark exists, and if you hold that spark and operate from there, it goes out and it amplifies, and that's what this game did, I think.
I think you're 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back to questions if time permits, but I want to give us ample time to go through some lines and have some fun. So does everyone have the PDF that was sent out?
Can you throw it in the chat?
I might be able to. If not, Ryan is still here, so I think Ryan can probably do it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Ryan's amazing. Ryan's our magician behind the curtain who makes all this happen.
I had so many windows open as I was starting this that I was like, I'm so glad I'm not Ryan today with more windows open, because
I'm gonna go to your email, Ash, and find the there it is. There it is.
Look at Allie printed out and ready to go. Has her homework.
Okay, I just threw it in the chat. Everybody can click on it in the chat. I can't believe I did that. That's extraordinary. I'm not
making the rest of us look bad, Hillis.
Cool. I'll give everyone a minute. And while everyone's opening.
I printed mine out this morning.
You what's that?
I said I printed mine out this morning.
Oh, there you go.
Show off.
Excellent.
I also have no work at the moment, so
hey, that's a good thing too.
Pages, right? We have 3 pages, you guys?
It should be 3 pages. I think there's.
Yeah.
I was drinking champagne this morning. I didn't have time.
Oh, girl.
So
I'm. Morning.
Really? What were you celebrating? Oh, and 7 Day.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, the remaster.
Lots to celebrate today. So if you are watching at home, what we're going to do is you guys sent me, along with questions, you sent me scenes that you would like to see performed or lines you would like to hear read. I didn't know Caroline was going to be here, but I'm so incredibly happy that she is, because that means I do not have to direct these, because that's absolutely terrifying as someone who does not do it. No.
A few things. Get in there, Tiger.
Oh no, please God, I'll cry. So I think Caroline, Patrick, and Karin are going to kind of tweak these scenes out a little bit, and we're going to have some fun and run through these in any order that we want. We're just going to hang out, read some lines, and have a good time. Sound good for everyone?
Sounds great.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Caroline, the ball is in your court. I just want to see you work. You could pick whatever you want. Do whatever.
Oh, so do we want to go down it, or should I just pick any line, or?
You can probably
what moves you?
Yeah.
What speaks to you?
Yeah. There's no rules.
You don't have a boss today.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with Steve? We're going to just shuffle off down to line 8. And what's happened prior to this line is you were running through the ship with Arachnai was chasing you, so you're buzzed right up, and you run into a room, and no one can see you, so you have to let them know what you are, and you say this line, and that was all made up. That's not what happened.
That was beautiful.
I think it's going to give you something.
I'm getting chills. I'm just getting chills right now.
I'm backing off on my volume a little because I'm going to do it the way I remember it. All right. I am Krogan!
Woo!
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Sure,
and now we all are.
Yeah, we are for sure.
Did I get some on you?
No.
Don't say that.
Yeah, we all had that I am Krogan moment earlier this morning, I think. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You got to check the chat now. People are going to be so happy.
Yes. There's some good ones in here.
There's let's go to Keythe, line 17.
Why is it whenever someone says, with all due respect, they really mean kiss my ass?
I think that was Ashley's line, wasn't it?
Was that Ashley?
It is Ashley's line, but she's not here, and someone really needed to say it because that's one of my favorite lines. So thank you so much for doing that.
I'm sorry. I went to 17. I didn't see it. My apologies.
It might have. It was great though.
Here's Kaidan. Messed up kid that I messed up kid that I was. I would never have dreamed of life that I've had. But sometimes the way things go down does matter, Shephard. Later, when you have to live with yourself, knowing that you acted with integrity, then it matters.
Oh.
Yes.
So good. So good.
then I would probably just say something like faster, louder.
The way only you could, Carol.
You know how many tears have been shed in the booth? How many times have we all cried in the booth while performing and listening?
Can I tell you my crying story with Caroline?
Uh-oh.
Yes, Abby.
We were recording. I've never gotten to tell this story with you present, so this is delightful. We were recording the end of 3, and which I never call the end because I'm always like, I'm here. If you ever, and it was the goodbye to Gareth scenes, and the writing just crawled right up under my skin. And I went to say the lines, and I was just like, bloop. I couldn't speak, and I had to take a second because I was like, Shephard does not cry. And so I took a minute. I was like, hold on. And you were on Skype. I couldn't see you, but I could hear you. And the rhythm was every time we finished a line, you'd be like, okay, yeah, all right. And you talk to the engineer, blah, 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 B-A, okay, blah, blah, blah. And then we go on to the next line. It was that rhythm, bum, 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 bum. So we did this line, and I had to take a second. I broke the rhythm, and I paused, and I was like, okay, ready, and I did it. And it was all I could do to say those words. And then there was dead silence. And I was like, did we lose the Skype? And then I said, Caroline, I heard, yep, hold on. I was like, because you were so strong and so steady all the time. You're like, nope, you don't got me. You don't got me. And I was like, oh, I got her.
I think that might have been one of the last sessions we did too. So I was a wreck. I'm a wreck.
That was John Dumbrow wrote Gareth in 3, and I'm gonna tell him that he broke both of you.
He did. You can tell him
that he got you to crack, because that will mean a lot to him.
Oh yeah, cracked right down the middle.
All of us cracked. If you don't mind, but I also remember this scene with Anderson. Anderson's spoiler.
I think we're good.
We're good.
It's been multiple years. You're fine.
10 years.
But I do remember going through that because of our system. You could hear Keythe David doing his performance, and just that moment of him, talking to you like you were his daughter, and I was a wreck. I mean,
that was
the amount. Too many tears were spilled.
That was one of my favorite moments, because you just brought up something really key for the recording experience for us. Am I allowed to say the name of the system that you came up with?
Yeah, I didn't come up with it.
That BioWare came up with. It's a proprietary system called Veda, which allows, if, like, for example, I was usually pretty early into the booth in the recording process. So I would go in and record my lines. And then when Ali or Alix or Courtenay or somebody came after me, or DC, they could hear me talk to them. They get to play back. And I really didn't get, Mark and I think Mark was probably in the same boat. We didn't get to take advantage of that system very much, but recording the last scenes with Anderson, I got to hear Keythe, and I got to act with Keythe. And that is the secret sauce that is as yet mostly untapped in the game industry, when we get to actually be in this space, whether it's I'm here and someone is in their booth at home somewhere else, when we can hear each other and actually interact with each other. It takes the magic to a level that is undescribed.
Yeah, you say that about Keythe, but my story is that I actually got to act with Jennifer Hale.
Sweet.
One of my favorite things about Veda, this might be apocryphal, but I've heard that Veda, the acronym actually spells VADER, but for some reason they copyright that word.
That's so cool. See, that's details, awesome. Mark.
Details. That's wonderful. I love these stories. You want to do some more lines? I think we got plenty. We got plenty of time for a bunch. So
go Patrick. Go Karin.
Yeah, you guys get to
pick one. Make us do it.
Voice direct. This is the start of how the stream went wrong. This is
great.
So
Caroline, please be ready to just cut our feeds, because it's going to probably get ugly. Let's see. Go Patrick. What about 13? Who's going to be Conrad Werner?
How about Jennifer? Why don't you be Shephard and I'll be Conrad Werner?
Okay.
Excellent.
How fun.
So do we make something up like Caroline did, or you guys just want to go for it?
And I'll make up a context. Yep.
Okay. So I mean, really, this is a love story This is a lot of sexual tension finally paying off. This is
okay. Cut the feed, Caroline.
I'm in.
So just intensity, passion, simmering.
Okay, Patrick, I'm gonna do Conrad Werner as a Vorcha, if that's okay with you. He is a Vorcha in the game, right?
Oh yeah, I assumed.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, that was just going to be my request, is that Mark do any kind of work to anything. So thank you so much for starting with this. You were making my day.
Did I do Shephard as a Solarian?
Yes. Preview. Give us a preview. Do it in your Omniblades characters. That's even better.
I can
Yes. Yeah, because we're actually we're doing an RPG, a Mass Effect RPG.
Yes, so-
I believe 2 or
Solarian, Vorcha, simmering sexual tension, Conrad Werner scene. Okay, and Keythe.
Conrad, you have no idea what takes to get job done. This is how gun in your face feels. It happens to me every day. You can't handle this.
I thought you were a hero. Heroes don't do things like this. And you wish I'd never met you.
They all say that.
That was powerful. That was good.
Bravo!
If there was a little noise on the mic, we're going to do that one just one more time.
Oh, okay, right. I'll turn down the gain on this. Or
is it P-pop, Mark? Okay.
You've just broken the internet, Mark.
Yeah, it's a thing. I got to get this thing up here. Okay, hold on. I'll be with you in a sec. There's normally a technician that does this for me.
Yeah.
Oh, not anymore, honey.
No, not these days.
I will say when I said that Jen and Mark didn't get to play off each other very often, one of my fondest memories is of Mass Effect 3 when Mark, when I just shoved basically the entire script of the Blasto movie into random ambience throughout the Citadel, and I knew you were going to be Blasto because you're all or most of all the Hanar, and we were like, okay, well, we have to have the his Elcor partner's hot sister.
Oh yeah, Boobin's sister. That's right.
Yeah, Boobin's sister. Yep.
Yes. And I was like, could it be Jennifer Hale? Because they don't get to talk to each other. And I was like, yes.
Yes, that's right. And not only that, we had a romance.
Yeah.
Blasto and Boobin's sister.
It was hot.
It was kind of one of my proudest moments.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So good. I don't know if chat's recovering from that one, but we have many more and still have some time. So let's grab something else from the list. And wow, I don't know if we can top that one. That one's pretty.
I was gonna say that's pretty tough.
It is.
Well, okay. So speaking of the Hanar, though, number 4, the Grunt line is also one of my favorites. I don't know how to set this one up. I mean, I'm looking out my window and there's a lot of snow out there and it's cold. So it is sad, the thing that you're about to say. So maybe just, think of the poor, cold, freezing Edmontonian Hanar and just channel your woe.
I'm sad. Hanar can't wear sweaters.
I never thought I'd hear him cry. That's beautiful.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Damn fish dog food shack.
Oh my God.
Okay, Caroline, can you do another one? I'm laughing too hard to be of any use right now.
Why don't we go down to line 14? Shephard, the Shephard Traynor combo.
Happy to.
What number?
14? Line 14, according to my
14. Yeah.
Why don't we make this Jennifer and Alix? Yes.
In honor of the mums, I'm all in.
Do we need a different scenario, Caroline, or do we just go for the reenaction?
We roller skating?
So wonderful the first time. Oh yeah, we could be roller skating.
I hadn't read it, so just give me a second. Let's just take one, and then I'll.
Oh, so we can see a switch up. We'll do it straight, and then give us a crazy take 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Commander, come to check on your new recruit.
Just wanted to see how you were doing.
Still trying to get my bearings. When I was working on the Normandy's upgrades, I left at the end of the day. I didn't even have a toothbrush or a change of clothing until I made some emergency purchases on the Citadel.
Next time you need something, just ask. We're all in it together.
It's no trouble, Commander. I'm sure you have larger concerns.
Don't mock the toothbrush.
Page. It goes on to the next page.
Sorry. I didn't see that. See, I do that all the time. We can put in a requisition order.
My toothbrush is a Sigen Pro Mark IV. It uses tiny Mass Effect fields to break up plaque and massage the gums. It costs 6,000 credits.
Okay, yeah, you're on your own with that.
Can't top that.
Love that scene.
People love that toothbrush bit.
I know,
really
it's
do.
so great.
My favorite story about that toothbrush was because I wrote that as a throwaway line, and because Alix, you did such an amazing job on it, I wanted to call it back in the Citadel, so I used it in the Citadel DLC as that. Okay, great. We're because the Citadel DLC was the almost action comedy kind of DLC at some parts, and I was like, great, we're going to use the toothbrush to pick the lock so the team can get in. The toothbrush is going to save the Normandy. And the art director, Derek Watts, was in an early playthrough of the DLC. We get to that point, and Traynor, in an early version of the scene, holds up nothing in her hand, and Derek says, "What? So we got to make the toothbrush? Really? It's gonna be like thousands of dollars to render that toothbrush. You know that, right? We got to render a toothbrush just for one thing." And then it gets to, I can't believe a toothbrush saved the Normandy, and Derek deadpans at me, looks in the room and goes, "Okay, that's pretty good. I'll make the toothbrush." That's good. It's like, okay, good. I got my toothbrush. That was the work we put in for that.
That's beautiful.
I have a random question about the DLC. Whose idea was it to have us find out that Mordin was working on a noir novel?
Okay, so I think it was Dumbrow's, because Dumbrow.
I'll just say, by the time these things are happening, we've been working for a long time, possibly crunching a little, so everyone's getting really punchy.
We're a little
and
punchy.
some of it makes it into the game.
Yes, and there was a time when I had said, okay, well, I don't know. Mordin he's made his big sacrifice. We made a lot of people cry. Would it really be appropriate to bring him back for anything? I'm not sure. I don't, I really want to honor that and respect that. And kind of the entire team just looked at me and said, "I think Mordin needs like a couple more songs, dude. I think you can just do that for us." So I was like, "Oh, well, all right. If you don't think it'd be disrespectful, I can put in something where he's doing a couple, doing a couple little things, maybe have him working on his noir story." Because again, by that point, you had shown me that you could deliver literally any line. So I was like, yes, okay. This guy was the color of a TV station tuned to a dead portrait. Sure. All right. He can say
That's
that.
right. That's right. That was funny.
So good.
Okay. Thank you.
So we are getting
something on the Citadel as well. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you get drunk on the Citadel? Is there I remember him in the shower, not at the Citadel.
Well, Grunt and Tally ended up drunk.
Yeah, he ends up drunken in the shower, right?
I cast again.
That's the sweaters line.
Madness.
It's beautiful.
Loved it.
Well done.
Do you want to pop? Let's go to line 11.
Yeah, 11. We're getting lots of requests for line 11. Everyone wants to get their heart broken.
And so that's Shephard and Thane. Yes, lots of requests for Thane, and you're on deck there, Keythe.
Line 5 too. We could
you mark
that one.
Shall I be Shephard in this one?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You all said, Keythe?
I am ready.
You've been killing since you were 6?
Of course not. I did not make my first kill until I was 12. It was my Drell Mitzvah.
Today you are an assassin.
That was a good one.
That was really good.
Let's do that one more time, please.
Okay, yeah.
Have a little more compassion when you ask that. And then
sure.
your response, if it can be more like, no dummy, Keythe. So
Yeah.
like I was 12, you dummy. Okay. So just let's
Okay,
do that
all right.
one.
What's wrong with you?
Okay. You've been killing since you were 6?
Of course not. I did not make my first kill until I was 12.
That's great. Thank you for that adjustment, Ken.
You guys just witnessed the power of a voice director. Like
That's
that's
wonderful.
Yeah.
So cool to see.
Up. Right. Yeah.
Did you say 5 next?
Yes, 5, if we can.
There we go.
Yes. Now that Keythe's warmed up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe it's Amonkira.
Thank you.
I could be wrong, though.
For purposes of this stream, it's Amonkira.
Amonkira?
You go, however the spirit moves you.
You're seeing the magic right here, guys. This is how it really goes down.
Yep.
Somebody ask that me.
Amonkira, Lord of Hunters, grant that my hands be steady, my aim be true, and my feet swift. And should the worst come to pass, grant me forgiveness. That was part A. You want the whole? You want part B?
Yes.
Part
Yes.
B? All right.
Yes, those lines go together, Keythe. So
So do them then together? The body is not our true self. The soul is. Body and soul work as one in a whole person. When the soul is weakened by despair or fear, when the body is ill or injured, the individual is disconnected, no longer whole.
Who wrote that? Who's that? Who's
Beautiful
that?
stuff.
Crazy. So good.
I'm trying to remember if that was Chris Hepler or Chris Latoile, but no, whoever it is, that was amazing, Keythe.
Okay.
Those are the things that made this such a treat, and there's been so much going back to DC's comment about learning as you act that it's not about acting at something, it's about allowing the emotion to be full and open, and it's about getting out of the way. And Thane was a real lesson in opening up to the character, in allowing this beautifully conflicted character to exist. And that comes back to, again, why the writing is so good, is that each character has these conflicts within themselves. They are flawed. Each character has a tragic flaw that is revealed through the course of conflict. And that's how great characters are revealed. So grateful. And finally, going back to the history-making aspect of Mass Effect. Star Wars for sure. But the reason I love Star Wars so much is because of a show I watched as a kid called Star Trek, where you got to look at the bridge of a global enterprise where you saw a black woman and a Russian man and an Asian man and a Vulcan all working together to discover a new universe.
And a Scotsman, dear God.
I think as much as this Mass Effect definitely is picking up on the Star Wars of our generation and the Citizen Kane, I also think it's a huge, with its representation of all aspects of humanity, really a child of Star Trek as well.
So awesome. I think
That was very well said.
stated. Yeah.
Can I shatter that by asking you to say "sleep well and dream of bulbous women" for me? Because that's my favorite Thane line ever.
Sleep well and dream of bulbous women.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Wonderful. I think we've gotten some Ali Hillis Liara
Yes.
requests.
How about number 10?
Yeah.
I want to start with number 10. Is that okay, Ali?
Yeah. Can
Oh, her dark phase.
I love Ali's dark phase. It's so good.
I know the dark phase was good. I was confused a little at first, but this is nice. Does somebody have, can you set the scene for me a little bit?
I believe someone has decided they don't want to pay you for the information that you've acquired for them now that they've gotten the information, and you are politely negotiating the terms of your compensation.
I'll just say, hey, little lady, you don't need to worry about that. Someone's just called you little lady, so go.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever faced an Asari commando unit before? Few humans have. I'll make this simple. Either you pay me or I flay you alive with my mind.
I love it. I love that you can just flip into that voice and it sounds still identical to this day. It's unbelievable.
I'd pay you twice.
Yeah, so good. I don't know which ones do you guys? What's chat looking like?
Jack.
Yeah, let's get some Jack in there. I think line 6 has some great Jack stuff.
There it is.
Yes,
Caroline.
That's the one I was looking for.
Yes. Oh boy. Can you be a little drunk saying this line? I think this is at a bar. What's the bar, Patrick?
Afterlife.
You're at Afterlife.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of them. Yeah.
You've had a few cocktails.
The top line?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been around. Ran around with gangs. Wiped out some gangs. Joined a cult. Kept the haircut.
Nice.
Can I hear the other two? Because they're just so good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we just roll into those? Because those are.
Yeah, I've been around. Ran around with gangs. Wiped out some gangs. Joined a cult. Yeah, kept the haircut. I'm gonna beat you till candy comes out. Hey, Edie, nice body. Now you look like a sex bot instead of a sex toy.
Nice. You gotta love Jack.
All three of those lines worked with the drunk.
They really do. Yeah, that's like me at any party. No, I'm just kidding.
That's wonderful.
Can we also? I would also like to pause to note. Oh, champagne, more Alec, but also how much trouble Patrick caused by the whole on the pool table stuff with Jack.
I got in trouble with
localization. Was like, what are they doing on the pool table? And Patrick's like, no, nothing. Never mind. They're just playing pool. They're playing pool.
There's a line in the Citadel where it's Shephard is dancing, and if you're in a romance with Jack, Jack says, save some of that energy. We're going to do it on the pool table later. And then Cortez, kind of offended, says, hey, people eat at that table. And Jack says, you're damn right they do. And
so explaining that, because I have interfaced with the
and France came back with, could you explain what Jack means by this? And my answer was no.
Nope.
Zut alors.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Because the editors get the translator questions, but the big ones we pass back to the writers, and I'm like, Patrick, this one is your fault. You were answering this.
That was your line, Patrick? Of course it was. Why did I
And they accepted that? They just said, okay.
They just moved in. They haven't got any furniture yet.
That's right.
They put a cloth down on the table.
The best part is it was France who needed me to explain the joke, while apparently Germany was like, yes, please confirm that this is regarding the possibility of oral sex. Thank you.
Okay with it.
Nothing sexual rattles Germany. It's great. So could I request 15 with Ali and Mark?
15.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, this is a steamy one.
It's
steamy. Getting steamy. All right.
All right, Mark. We got this.
Okay. Good to go. Anything else from our
I was
directors?
going to say, should we add Caroline looks like she has an idea.
Caroline, yes, yeah.
Now I'm working.
That is the finger of I have a naughty idea.
No. Just go for it. What did you say, Alix?
I said, do it, please. Now we've had the oral sex. I'm ready for more.
Yes, we're all warmed up.
I just mean, if you have a naughty idea, I feel like now is the time, Caroline. You went like this. Ali's had a bit of drink. I feel like this is very positive for the happy day of the happy N7 World Day.
Well, there's nothing you can add to this. It's
really not.
It's just lovely lines of dialogue. I think you just need to say it from the heart.
Okay, all right.
Maybe you guys can just be really happy that today is a really good day for a number of reasons.
Okay, so you're asking me to not butcher the writer's work. Is that what you're asking?
If you could just say the words trippingly off the tongue.
Okay.
Trippingly. I can't do that right now.
All right. Ali, you ready to go?
I'm so ready, Mark. I am the commander.
Okay. Friends doesn't cut it for me anymore, Liara.
Well, that sounds serious.
I am serious. Whatever happens, I'd like to spend my life with you.
Then you're extremely lucky that I feel that way too.
Oh, I needed a shower. That was so steamy hot.
Yes.
My monitor was
to the
scorched.
pool table.
That was wonderful.
Off to the pool table for both of you.
I need to start dancing now.
I have a question for you guys. Was there a conscious decision to not romance Legion? Because there's a lot of upset people out there about that.
Yeah, there are. I'm sure there's mods. There's mods that you can.
A lot of
Are there that like to voice
voltage problems?
Yeah, a lot of creative reuses of "there was a hole."
Who said voltage problems? That was really good.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Voltage problems.
You know, I think it was a process of us just kind of figuring out what we wanted to do. If we had known, I mean, I'll be honest, the number of people who were like, I don't know, are people going to want to romance Garrus? Are people going to want to even romance Liara? She's blue. I don't know. I mean, I kind of see that as she's blue. She doesn't really have hair. It's kind of spikes in the back. Are people going to be okay with that? We'll just have to see. I think we
were young and naive, and now we know that BioWare fans are thirsty.
I do remember the discussions of Thane and the first art of Thane.
Yes.
And Derek came in and said, "So what do you think of this guy?" And I was like, "It's really hot. That's gonna be a killer character. People are going to want to romance that gentleman." It's remarkable, but they fall in love with these flawed human beings, flawed characters, and Thane was another one of them.
And also, unfortunately, generally, there's a fairly high cost element to having romances and all the extra scenes and stuff. So a lot of time it's more just, we've got X number of nookie scenes we can have. How many characters can we fit in, so to speak? I'll just stop now.
No, that's.
I actually have another question. Can I ask another question just of the BioWare team? There must be at some point been some thought about doing more DLC content or doing some sort of revival or a I don't know, some kind of a new party that everyone could gather. Has that ever come up as a reunion?
I don't know if we're legally obligated.
I got very quiet.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if I said something wrong there.
Crazy asking that question right now on this.
I think we might be going through a tunnel.
Here, you got it out. Bad reception.
Just so we're clear, we're talking about something that will get us more money. No, we're just.
There was a press release this morning. That
I was going to say, I might refer you to the BioWare blog.
Yeah, something new is being worked on.
Those are legal things that legal people are allowed to say.
That's right.
My apologies.
We are getting close to time. I want to make sure that we read line 19 because I think it's very it's suitable for today. So line 19, and then we're going to plug a couple things that are happening today on a 7-day and a couple other things, and then we're going to get out of here. So let's do 19 quick, and then we'll wrap things up and start to say our byes. And
can we share this, Mark? Do you want to start it and then I'll finish it?
You bet. You bet.
Okay.
Perfect.
Lovely. This war's brought us pain and suffering and loss. But it's also brought us together as soldiers, allies, friends. This bond that ties us together is something that the Reapers will never understand. It's more powerful than any weapon, stronger than any ship. It can't be taken or destroyed.
The next few hours will decide the fate of everyone in the galaxy. Every mother, every son, every unborn child. They're trusting you, depending on you to win them their future. A future free from the threat of the Reapers.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
It
made me cry.
If I could just do an augmented Legion line just to ground it out. And here it comes. Does this country have a soul? Yes, it does.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let us heal now. Let
Yeah.
us heal.
And gloat.
Mark, do you want to say something about Michael Hogan's fund?
Yes, I just wanted to take this opportunity on N7 Day to put out a call to Mass Effect fans. Anyone who feels that they're able to, if you could donate to Michael Hogan's fundraiser. For those who are unaware, Michael Hogan, beloved Mass Effect cast member and a fantastic human being, suffered a very serious accident earlier this year. I just tweeted about it earlier today. You can also find it's a GoFundMe account for Michael Hogan, so you should be able to find that link. And they're very close to reaching their goal. So it would be really great if we could push them over the line on N7 Day.
Amen. Awesome. He's an extraordinary guy. In fact, I'm going to see if we can put the link for the fundraiser in the comments section of the video. Please. I think we should be able to do that. Ryan will weigh in on that. But yes, that would be amazing. He's a beautiful man. I mean, just a beautiful man. And supporting them is so important.
Yeah, I know the community cares deeply about him, so hopefully we get a couple extra bucks in there to help him out. Before we get out of here, I want to say, thank you to you all. It means a lot to everyone watching, and your performances are absolutely magical, and the work you've done on the game is absolutely magical. And we all of us in the community couldn't thank you enough. We of course are hoping for more in the future one day, so we'll keep everything crossed. Jennifer and Mark, do you want to plug the game that you guys are doing on the official BioWare Twitch channel, I believe?
Oh, yes, Mark, you say that.
Sure. We are doing a Mass Effect RPG. It's a reskinned version of Blades in the Dark, and we have very cleverly called it Omni Blades in the Dark. And you got a little taste of it because I will be playing a Vorcha, and Jennifer is playing a Salarian. And we're also joined by some devs from BioWare and some folks from Friends at the Table, including Austin Walker, who is our fantastic GM. And I believe that is starting at, I want to say 2 p.m. Pacific on the BioWare Twitch.
I think so. Yeah. And be kind. It's only my second time ever doing one of those.
You were fantastic. I loved your character.
I had so much fun.
I'd like to nominate you for Salarian of the Year. I'm, okay, Bill.
You're Vorcha of the Century, so there you go.
Thank you, Bill. You're gonna have to try harder next year because you've got a very high bar that Jennifer has set. And...
I saw and heard.
One of us actually. Anybody out there who's wondering, we are signing after this. Several of us are signing after this. So that is happening. Just check our individual social medias. You'll find us there.
Yes, almost forgot to plug that. So yeah, check out everyone's individual social medias to get some stuff signed. Please do that. It is they have some awesome stuff that they're putting out there, cool headshots and character shots and all that fun stuff. And nothing better to do. Spend your money on an N7 Day. So that's great stuff. Again,
Jennifer, thank you for making this possible.
Yes.
Thanks for bringing us all together.
Thanks so much for including
Don't
us.
forget to keep up with everything nerd at nerdappropriate.com.
Yes.
Thanks, Ali.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Ash, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I want to thank Ash. And I want to thank Ryan Green, our amazing producer who.
Hey, Ryan.
Ryan.
Yes, Ryan.
And I want to thank Caroline and Patrick and Karin for sorting out so they could come, and BioWare for doing this. And I want to thank every single human who has ever worked at BioWare and this is a massive team. I want to thank you all. I want to thank this community and every single human who's plays this game. I adore you and I'm so grateful to you. We get to do what we do because you enjoy that. And thank you for letting us live in your world. Thank you.
We need a group photo.
Oh
yeah.
Here we go.
Everybody, a group photo. Everybody get out your cameras, whoever is watching this. And here's the photo. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm getting my notes. Okay.
I'm gonna
Everybody
smile
say
first.
Normandy.
Your favorite little pose or something.
Ready? One. Hold on. I got to get my fingers on here to try to screenshot this. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yay. Honestly, guys, thank you all so much. You guys are
So I
fantastic.
feel like Mark and Jennifer need to say the line to cut us off, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Shall we do the we version instead of the I version?
We'll do the we version, and we'll
Okay,
see.
ready?
Zoom doesn't always help us sync up, but we'll try to get it as close as possible. Right.
On 3 or after 3?
3 and then go.
Okay, ready. Here we go. We should go.
We should go.
Cut the feed.
Yay!
Thanks, you guys.
Guys.
Love
Thanks,
you all.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy and 7 day.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Happy
Thank you guys so much.
7 day.
And then 7 day to remember.
Yeah. Everyone go
you did.
celebrate. Seriously.
Go forth and heal. Go forth and heal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. It was really nice to do this with a